So can you compare or contrast PEMF with red light therapy, and explain a little bit about each? So red light therapy, the frequency spectrum, so the electromagnetic spectrum, if you will, if you want to call it that, or this frequency spectrum, includes light of all the shades and colors of light. So light is in a specific frequency, and I can't tell you what that is. You could look it up. I can look it up, but I haven't memorized that. So light, whether it's infrared light or pure red light or yellow light, all of these have different frequencies and therefore have different degrees of action in the body and act in different receptors and different mechanisms in the tissues. So red light therapy can be very effective, but for the most part, the light therapies tend to be pretty shallow. One of the reasons that you use light therapies like diodes is that you're trying to stimulate the skin or the tissues of the skin primarily, again, flooding the body with various reactions to that light therapy. So it's good for health maintenance. It can be good for specific problems. But I've looked at and used and owned many of these kinds of therapy systems. There's one called Vilight, which you actually put in your nostril, that stimulates the front part of the brain. It can be used on other parts of the brain too, but again, the problem with light therapies in general, they do not penetrate the body deeply. So most of their actions are very superficial, or they are indirect, like acupuncture. So you put a needle here in your hand, Hoku point or Heigu point, that's going to cause an action up the meridian system, up into the brain and into the rest of the body. That's an indirect action. PEMFs not only stimulate acupuncture points and meridians, as will red light therapy stimulate those acupuncture points and meridians where it is applied. So it's going to act on that system to produce the indirect benefits that you get with acupuncture. But I learned, again, early in my career, when I first started using magnetic field therapy, I learned that magnetic fields actually do acupuncture-like actions, because both of these systems, the acupuncture system, is an electrical system. The acupuncturists call it chi, but it's actually electrical current. And there may be other phenomena that go with it from a quantum perspective, quantum physics perspective, but fundamentally it's an electrical system. And PEMFs interact with all electrical charge. PEMFs interact with other electrons flowing in anything, including a battery, in the brain, in the skin, in muscles, and so on, in water for that matter. So what they're doing then is the magnetic field is causing the same kinds of actions that red light is causing, different frequencies, but same actions. And also it acts at the tissue directly, locally, and goes right through the body completely. High frequency therapies, high frequency waves, like red light, does not go deep into the body because the wavelengths are so short. And because they're so short, they tend to get absorbed to some extent by the tissue. Now, again, they're going to have indirect effects because they act on the meridian systems of the body and other reflex systems. So we won't just limit it to acupuncture meridians. But PEMFs do all of that, and they go completely through the body. So they can act at depth if you have the right intensity of magnetic field. So magnetic field therapy, in my mind, is a better value. Now, ideally, if you were really skilled and had a lot of money, you'd own all sorts of systems. I've bought and purchased and used all the systems that we have on my website. And as I said, I've used the Vilight therapy, which goes into the brain, but it doesn't go deep into the brain. It just goes to the front part of the brain. And that's red light therapy as well. So again, bottom line is use anything you want. It will work together with PEMFs because PEMFs, again, go deep and they work deep, whatever else the other types of therapies do. And we should really talk about how they could possibly interfere, but most of the research seems to show that there is an interactive benefit. You can't probably apply them at the same time without any risk of harm, but you often need to separate them. So for example, if you're doing acupuncture, there are acupuncturists who are doing magnetic field therapy and acupuncture at the same time, getting a much bigger benefit, especially with the local tissue. So if you have a bad shoulder, you can do acupuncture to reduce the pain in that shoulder. It doesn't do direct healing as much. PEMFs do the direct healing of that shoulder. So applying them together gives you some of the secondary benefits of acupuncture, like treating this point here, the Hoku point, which goes up through this area. Do that and then do magnetic therapy at the same time. Other therapies, including ozone, applied at the same time, do better than either therapy alone. The rule of thumb is that most therapies combine well. They do not interfere with each other.